More than a dozen people displaced as a raging fire races through 4 homes and damages several others. The Prime Minister warns that increasing conflicts are threatening efforts to save humanity and the planet. The days of extensive delays relating to business applications are numbered. And in sports, Barbados Pride miss out on another Super 50 final.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. Close to 24 people have been affected by a fire that destroyed or damaged 8 homes in a densely populated St. Michael district. A CBC News team of cameraman Christopher Wood and Trevor Thorpe was quickly on the scene. They filed this report.
This raging fire has displaced 22 people, including 3 children. It raged through 4 houses at 3rd Avenue, Paris Gap, Westbury Road, forcing some residents to run for safety. According to fire officials, in addition to the houses destroyed, 4 more suffered damage ranging from slight to moderate. Those affected were too distraught to speak to CBC at the time. The Barbados Fire Service said it received the call around 12:26 and responded with its entire complement of 21 officers along with 4 fire tenders. Acting Chief Fire Officer Henderson Patrick said the squad encountered parked vehicles in the area, which created a challenge for the firemen.
That fire has the ability to expand exponentially every 30 seconds. So every second that we are unable to make that intervention, it makes things worse. The attempt was originally from the eastern side, and obviously with the wind blowing in a westerly direction, once the initial structure became fully involved, it would obviously affect anything else that was downwind.
Given the delay caused by the obstructing vehicles, the acting fire chief has this to say.
In these communities that have narrow roads, there's a tendency for people sometimes to park on the road itself. Sometimes we even have small businesses like workshops and so on that allow their vehicles and so on to spill over into the carriageway. And it has a tendency to affect responding vehicles. It is all right when nothing happens. But once you have an incident, as we did today, you could see that having those vehicles parked in the road can reduce or increase your response time to an incident.
Member of Parliament for the area, Chris Gibbs, was meeting with residents and told newsmen it was too early to comment, but arrangements would be made to seek housing for the affected families. Investigations into the blaze are continuing. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Trevor, thank you. Prime Minister Marsha Cattlee has warned that increasing conflicts are threatening to delay saving humanity and the planet. She says the progress recorded over the past 6 months in the climate fight has not been fast enough. Ms. Cattlee made the comment as a member of the panel for the Paris Peace Forum in France. The Barbadian leader, along with French President Emmanuel Macron and several African leaders, have been assessing the progress of the Paris Pact for People and the Planet, launched in June. This pact aims to provide substantial funding to combat poverty and climate change and is in preparation for COP28, scheduled for early December in Dubai. Ms. Cattlee says geopolitics and domestic politics are causing too much of a distraction from the real battles.
We cannot save the planet with a quarter or half the people of the world working together. We need the majority. And if the majority is distracted in conflicts, if the majority is distracted in just being able to eke out a living, one of the things that we don't talk about is food and water security. And food and water security is a daily battle. And human beings can't survive without access to it for a long period of time.
Ms. Cattlee also says while climate and loss of biodiversity are critical, the world must ensure there is capacity to provide for victims of conflict, whether in Africa, the Middle East or Europe. She adds that children have also been impacted, more recently by the COVID-19 pandemic.
We need to be able to recognize that the ones who were not seen in the pandemic who have lost have been our children, and that the digital divide that precluded them from having access to regular education for the better part of 3 years can be totally destructive if we don't reintegrate them back into their societies by giving them a platform and opportunity for learning. So I've broadened the response a little bit because I feel that as you embark on this critical work for finding an international source of funding for global public goods, that we need to frame the parameters properly.
Some other related news now. A flood watch is in effect for Barbados until 6 tomorrow evening. The Barbados Meteorological Services says unstable conditions associated with a confluent pattern will affect the island throughout tonight into Sunday. Wet conditions are forecast for the weekend with maximum rainfall accumulations of 40 to 75 millimeters, likely in occasional heavy to intense showers with gusty winds. Conditions on the ground are already saturated and additional shower activity may cause flooding across the island. Now, you are advised that the watch could elevate to a flood warning at short notice. We will indeed have more details coming up in our weather segment. We'll take a break here, but coming up, the Attorney General talks of Barbados' efforts to get off the Financial Action Task Force grey list. The days of extensive delays relating to business applications are numbered and coming to an end. That's the word from Business Development Minister Senator Lisa Cummins, who says a change is necessary to ensure Barbados remains competitive. And she's warned her ministry the pace of processing must pick up. She spoke to the matter during her address at the Institute of Chartered Accountants conference at the Lord Erskine Sandiford Centre.
The notion that things come in and stay on anyone's desk for any extended period of time is something that we are going after very aggressively in my ministry. And one of the reasons why Business Barbados is critical is because the way in which, or the pace at which global business moves does not allow us to overly bureaucratize the way in which we do business. We talk about business facilitation, we talk about the ease of doing business, but unless you are actively engaged in business, something sitting on your desk for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time may not trouble you. You may go home easy, and sleep the night, and it don't register for you.
Senator Cummins also explained how the shift will be important to the functioning of the recently announced Business Barbados entity.
We have made a determination that we need to make sure that in the middle between Invest Barbados, which is investment attraction and inbound oriented, and Export Barbados, we needed to create a hub that was corporate facing, business oriented, and highly competitive in terms of other jurisdictions. That is where Business Barbados was born. Business Barbados, therefore, will absorb the work of the Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office as we now know it. It will be developed in a way that allows us to focus on the needs of corporate businesses. We have started and have completed an assessment of who our competitors are.
Also addressing the conference was President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, Tracy Marshall. She wants members to evolve with the changes in the industry and to be prepared to embrace technology and other trends.
New technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, and data analytics are reshaping the way we do our work. To truly shape tomorrow today, we must embrace these tools, harness their potential, and continue to be at the forefront of innovation. We must do this while taking into account respective stakeholders into our collective confidence. We also have a critical role in shaping the financial literacy of our people, starting within our schools. We at ICAB are keen on supporting the development and implementation of the next phase of government's financial literacy program.
Barbados remains confident a series of meetings in January next year will help clear the way for its removal from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. Attorney General Dale Marshall gave more details of Barbados' efforts at a regional hybrid conference on anti-money laundering and cybercrime at the UWI Sagicor Cahill School of Business. Mr. Marshall notes the situation has already caused problems for businesses and threatens sectors like reinsurance.
A multi-country team is coming to Barbados in January to meet with all of our regulators. They're meeting with me, the Prime Minister, everybody, the judges. They're also meeting with some of the companies that you work at to see if what we sent out was BS or whether what we put in our reports was factual, accurate, and more importantly, sustainable. And when we satisfy them, as I know we will, that we've crossed that particular bridge, then we will get off of the FATF grey list, just like Kim just did, and then we anticipate getting off of the EU blacklist. So
well, after a 5-week break, $200,000 renovation and a lone operating drive-in theatre in Barbados and the Caribbean has reopened. Last evening, specially invited guests gathered at the Adams Castle Christchurch venue to celebrate the occasion. Managing Director Shiva Ali says several areas across the compound were upgraded.
We're looking at roughly about maybe 200,000 between the road and the surroundings and the equipment. The projection system too was a little costly. That was going down, and we had to upscale. We had to bring in the experts also to have it done the right way.
And in saluting the management for maintaining the facility, Government's Special Advisor on Culture and Heritage, Senator John King, challenged those in charge to allow the venue to be a space for local creatives.
Imagine if in our fledgling industry, our practitioners could see this as home. I have this as a space where they can come, launch their movies, or even have a special night that is dedicated to Barbadian and regional films. This one-of-a-kind space has the potential and the capacity to do that. And it's not just for the audience also, but it gives the practitioners some confidence that when they invest in films, when they create their works, that there is a place for them to have it shown.
The theme was A Bright Future for Every Child, and 15 primary school finalists depicted it in poetry and dramatization with props in hand. The Pontifications and Poetry competition by the Ministry of Education allowed the children to give their interpretation of the transformation in the education system. Wendy Burt tells us it was a well-fought competition, but the preparation from St. Lawrence Primary put them in winner's row.
The Pontification and Poetry Finals, put on by the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, saw St. Lawrence Primary School take the 2 top spots with winner Xavier Went and Sabre Rupp, with Jarrah Scott of St. Silas Primary third. The competition was hosted at CBC, one of the main sponsors, and all the competitors had to pontificate on the topic before the judges could make their final decision. They were treated to the talents of 12 other students. West Terrace Primary, St. Cyprian's Boys, All Saints Primary, Roland Edwards Primary, Warren's Primary, St. Martin's Mangrove, Gordon Greenwich, Cuthbertmore Primary, Christchurch Girls, Roland Edwards, Hinesbury, and Cuthbertmore Primary School. Third place, Jarrah Scott, who won an 8-inch tablet, $500 in cash from Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited, a $100 voucher from DE Computers, and a voucher from Bubba's, did this.
Yes, you. So be careful what you show. The things you do and say are things I might follow.
Sabre Rupp took home a 10-inch tablet, $750 from Public Workers, a trophy, along with vouchers from DE Computers and Bubba's. Her piece.
I have a friend who aspires to be a hairdresser. I believe she can do it, and I always encourage her.
And the winner, Xavier Wendt, who received a laptop, $1,000 cash from public workers, a trophy, desk lamp, vouchers, and a Wabisco gift basket, had a riveting performance.
Some people think that I am dumb and sometimes call me lazy, but that is so far from my reality. Hearing such mean things about myself really hurts me.
This was a great moment for the Christchurch-based school, and Principal Lorraine Gittins says it's an awesome feeling given all the hard work the students put in.
To fine-tune and to bring up quality production to the competition. So I know the efforts that they would have made, as well as their trainers, Miss Wendt and Miss Joseph. So it is a proud moment for me, for the school, and for the students and staff who work here, because we know the effort and we know the amount of determination that was placed in there. So it is indeed a proud moment at St. Lawrence Primary all around.
Xavier's mum, Kristen Wendt, was on hand to celebrate at the school.
And I am so proud of his achievement for this competition. He worked really hard to achieve this, and I hope that he continues to be successful in everything that he does.
And Sabra's father, Kirk Ruck, expected her to do well.
She practiced hard, she worked hard, preparing for this competition, and I know she'll be successful, and I love her to death. And I told her to do her best, and she put her best foot forward, and that was it. She came out victorious.
The school then joined in the celebration to Bravo's champion song. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Now to business, there's a suggestion tonight that Barbados should create a virtual marketplace to allow micro, small and medium-sized enterprises to sell their goods and services online. It's coming from Chairman of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Tricia Tannis. She was speaking during the launch of Volumes 1 and 2 of the book Interdisciplinary Perspectives on COVID-19 and the Caribbean, produced by the University of the West Indies. That book offers a number of recommendations, which Ms. Tannis says the regional private sector can implement to increase profitability and customer satisfaction. Now, according to her, it suggests the pandemic has been a key catalyst for the adoption of technological platforms in regional businesses. However, it was also noted that the efficient implementation of these platforms would require a paradigm shift or the development of supporting institutional infrastructure.
What could elevate this insightful recommendation could be the creation of common marketplace platforms that can be accessible by MSMEs, reducing the cost of entry into e-commerce spaces and creating more affordable online value propositions, such as Amazon. Amazon actually is known as being the world's largest distribution company, but really and truly it is the world's largest marketplace. That is essentially what Amazon is. And should we be able to create a similar platform for our small businesses, they can actually achieve greater efficiencies and synergies and lower their cost of entry into that e-commerce space.
During the launch event, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UWI Cayfield campus, Professor C Landis, provided some insight into the rationale for the book.
This book is a collective effort by a diverse range of contributors drawn from within UWI and the wider community of scholars and leaders, committed to finding solutions for the most pressing and persistent challenges arising in the wake of the pandemic. The contributors and editors have robustly examined the various dimensions of the pandemic, from the immediate healthcare response to long-term economic consequences, from the social and psychological implications to political and business-related challenges, and from communication strategies to policy and governance measures.
Member of Parliament for St. Michael's South Central, Marsha Cattlee, also reviewed the publication. She notes it highlights the reality that there were lots of lessons to be learned and gaps to be filled with respect to the country's approach to social protection.
COVID gave us an opportunity to strengthen social protection and social insurance and to deliver it more effectively. I very much enjoyed the conversation in the volumes that looked at the Eastern Caribbean approach to social insurance and compared it with the approach in Barbados, in particular for unemployment insurance. One of the key lessons that we learned was that insurance is not useful to people unless it is delivered quickly, unless those benefits meet people where they are. And we had the opportunity in Barbados to be able to develop more tools in different ways that were able to respond to small businesses better and that were able to reach people more quickly.
The European Union is to support Barbados in upgrading climate-resilient infrastructure for clean water. This was announced by the Commissioner for International Partnerships after meeting with Prime Minister Mia Motley in Paris. The Commissioner said the EU's intention is to support Barbados in line with the Global Gateway Investment Agenda presented at the EU CELAC Summit in July. This will be achieved through a debt for climate swap to provide much-needed funding for the upgrade of the Barbados South Coast Sewage Treatment Plant. The plant will advance the country's efforts to mitigating the impacts of climate change, reducing chronic water shortages, and improving wastewater systems. And that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you soon.